The Isle of Cats just got a little bit bigger with 2 expansions, but are the modules worth it, or is this a little bit too overpriced for what it is? Either way, it's got kitties, little kitties, kitties! Hi everybody, I'm Luke Hector from the Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, please thumb up the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and of course comment on the video about what you love about the Isle of Cats, or just cats in general. I love cats. Cats and dogs. I like all pets and I like all animals, but cats are easily my favourite domestic pet. What are your thoughts? Let me know. And of course, if you want to help this channel out a little bit further by providing it with the ability to get more review copies of games, then the Patreon campaign is always running. I appreciate every help I can get. Thank you all. So there's not a huge amount to talk about with these packs in general because they're relatively small in terms of their content, but each one is about £20 to buy. That's a lot for an expansion that doesn't have a huge amount in it. You can get the Kittens and Beast module pack for about £20, just over, plus delivery, but then you've got the Isle of Cats boat pack, which is about £17–18, again taking delivery into account. These aren't cheap expansions, so the question is, are they worth it? So let's start off with the boat pack first. Well, actually no, let's start off with my thoughts on Isle of Cats. I like the Isle of Cats, it's a cool game. Do I love it? Probably don't love it. It's got a fair bit of bloat in it. It does outstay its welcome if you put more than 3 players in it, frankly. But as a 2 or 3 player game, or particularly as a solo game, the Isle of Cats is good, fun, polyomino lame with some like cool lesson cards thrown in to give you different scoring opportunities. It's a neat game. I like it. That's why it's in my collection. So these expansions I was a little bit skeptical about because I thought, well, the game's already got a decent amount of content anyway. Does it really need much more bloat or ways to make the game longer? But I figured, well, let's give these a shot. Maybe it could be great. So the boat pack is the first one we're going to do first. And the boat pack is probably the weakest of the 2 expansions because here's my box here with all my Isle of Cat stuff. And first and foremost, if you have the folded space insert for this like I do, you will not fit this stuff in the box. It's not going to happen. You know, you're going to have to take out the old boards and put them in this boat pack. But let me just pass some of these boards out.
20 minutes later.
Right, with the power of editing, we have these new boards and they're fine, but for £20 nearly, I don't know if they're necessarily worth it. The thing with this is that it's good to have some variation of the starting layouts, but with some of these cases, it's not like they're going to change how the game plays to a great extent, because honestly, it depended what cats you got and what combinations of tiles you had and all the lesson cards. That's what dictated how your game went. What layout your boat was, I don't think had much of an impact. That being said, there's no extra rules to know with these, and there are a couple of interesting boat designs on here, I must admit. I particularly like the one that's got the spinning paddle wheel in the middle, so you've got to build around it. That's something that's quite cool. But that's essentially what the boat pack does. It just gives you 6 boards where you can have this variation of the setup, which basically just dictates the shape of the rooms and that's kind of it, really. I don't know if this is really worth £20 unless you're a die-hard fan, but suffice to say, these go in my main box, and the originals go in this box, and they're put in storage. Because they've got no extra rules, there is no reason to use the old boards once you've got this new set. So it's not that you will never use these new boards. You will use them every single game you play. It's just, is it that big of an impact for £20? I'm not entirely convinced, but maybe people will disagree. But that's all the boat pack is. It's basically a bunch of boards. You will not be able to fit these in the box along with the normal boards. If you've got any kind of insert in there, it's not going to happen. And even without an insert, it'd still be slightly dubious. But honestly, why would you have all the boards in the box when you're just going to use these new ones anyway? It sort of defeats the purpose. So now we've got a similar priced one, £20, for the Kittens and Beasts module pack. This comes with 3 modules in increasing levels of difficulty, low, medium and complex. The idea is that you essentially have 3 coloured bags, each with the components for their particular expansion. So let's start off with the one they consider easy, or low complexity, which I've got to admit, I would have thought that this would have been medium complexity compared to the other one, but I digress. This one, you get kitties! You get little kitties! Oh, little kitties!
You are a sad, strange little man. and you have my pity.
If I lived with someone, I'd have my own cat. I'm not in the house often enough to justify having my own pet, which is sad. But if I ever meet someone and they don't want kids, I'm going to say, look, can you want to be crazy cat lady and we can have 5 cats? I'd be totally down with that. But I love little cats. But basically what you do with this is you have a new island board, and what happens is on one side you have the kitten board, effectively, like the kitten island board. Whoever is the fastest to go in a round has the option of, instead of taking a cat, they can take up to 2 kittens in a basket. The kittens function exactly like other cats. They're just smaller, so they fit into those little crevices that you can't otherwise fill, but they count as a singular cat for the purposes of families. So if you're really trying to build up a big family of greens, then rather than get a big cat of green, you could just grab yourself a couple of green kittens and you effectively have got 2 for the price of 1. This is a cool module that I'll throw into every game, frankly, because the advantage that this has is that it essentially makes going faster in a round much more important. It was always hit and miss as to whether going first in a round made much of a difference. I usually didn't bother. I just made do with what there was, apart from some exceptions. But now, because you have to be the fastest in order to get these kittens, there really is a more powerful reason to go faster. And so it balances that aspect of the game out. But other than that, they're very simple. They're just itty bitty cute little tiles with all the different cats that will make you go ah as soon as you take any look at these. And they're easy to throw into every game. It's a simple concept. It doesn't really rewrite the system. It just adds another choice. I'll throw this into every game. There's not many components for it. You essentially just draw them out of the green bag, and that was literally it. I would have maybe liked more kittens or some more variation on the shapes, but again, they're small shapes, so what can you do? You can only vary it so much. But yep, it's a cool module. Kittens is lovely. I have it. I want kittens in my boat. Thank you very much. So after that, we have, sorry, not this one, I need the red one. Get it right. We have the medium complexity one, which is the beast token. So the beasts are all these giant beasts, and essentially they're not cats, they are beasts. They are, well, strangely enough, this game has more Fantastic Beasts than the new Fantastic Beasts movie. Oh, come on! Here, essentially, what happens is that in the first day, only the first day, you have the option to buy beasts, rescue beasts as well as the cats. The thing with beasts, though, is that they cost a fair bit of fish to get, and you can only get them on day 1. But they take up a lot of space, and they've got coloured cats around there outside. And the idea is what they like to do is that they like to protect the cat families that they're fond of, that they've made friends with. So what you do is, when you're doing the rest of your boat layout throughout the game, you're trying to get families of cats to connect with the beast tile in exactly the spot where the picture of that cat is. So right on the end of this one, there is a red cat symbol. You won't be able to see it on the camera, but there's a red one here. That means that square must touch this family of red cats. And same for green, same for blue, and whatever. You get 5 extra points at the end of the game for every family that you are able to do that does that, and I think the family has to be at least 3 or 5 big, I can't remember, but you know, it has to be a decent sized family. That's literally all the beasts are. And there's a lot of cool funky designs. You've got dragons, you've got birds, you've got foxes, you've got lizards, you've got doggies. Unfortunately, there is a spider in here, which I'm not a fan of. I mean, seriously, Fantastic Beasts, Arachnophobes, did you really have to put a spider in here? It's not too bad. It does. I'm struggling to look at it now. It does look like a spider. It is clearly a spider. It's got a gemstone for its back, which makes it a little bit more bearable to look at, but it's still... Ugh.
Take that, you weird spawn of Satan!
Yeah, that's all the beast module is. And if anything, it seems a bit easier to put in than the kittens module, frankly. But I guess because you've got to design the rest of your table with families in mind, it's more complex because it requires more effort from you as the player in order to do what you got to do. But it's a cool module, and again, barely any rules, only applies in day 1. Once day 1's done, they're gone. They're not in the game anymore until the scoring at the end. So again, kittens and beasts, I'll throw into every single game. Here's where the good stuff stops though. This bag. This is the third module in here, which it doesn't say on the box. It doesn't say kittens and beasts and events, because that's what the blue bag is for. And look at this. That's a lot of components for this events module, right? So, okay, where are you going with this? there's a bunch of point tokens, there's royal rats, there's purple baskets and shoes, there's action tiles. So what on earth are you doing with this? Well, with this one, you have event tiles that go on the various days. Day 1 and day 5, I believe, are flipped face up, and they are like they're all there. You know what's on the first day because you're starting day 1, and you know what point scoring opportunity there is on day 5. Day 2, 3, and 4 have action tiles, which basically give you some cool action or some benefit you can get during a round, but you don't know what it is until that round. So it's a little bit swingy in that aspect. But here's my main problem with this module. I talked about this game potentially getting a little bloated if you're not careful, especially when the game already goes on quite long. The kittens and beasts are easy to throw into any game without even telling people they're an expansion element. The boat pack is just a new board, easy enough to implement. The events feels like too much bloat. It's a fiddly aspect with doing the 5 action tiles and then having to explain how each one works when they come up, but if you imagine, you're looking through this rulebook, okay, and it tells you how all the modules work and the components, right? So you have exactly 2 pages of rules for the kittens module, but it's pretty straightforward and most of that is examples. You then have 2 pages of rules for the beasts. Again, pretty straightforward, and half a page is just an example of how they score. You then have 4 pages, not many examples, for the events one. That's quite a fair bit of rules overhead for what is effectively 5 tiny little tiles that you put in the game. But you've got to explain how these new purple things work, you've got to explain how royal rats could work potentially, but they give you, it's too many components for something I'm not going to use, because these royal rats, which are like a variation on a normal rat, there's 1 action tile that brings them into play. That's it. You've got a whole bag of these as components, but only 1 action tile even refers to them. So there's a lot of components in here, but it feels like a bit of a waste. It just feels like too much bloat. And honestly, I feel that adding the events in as well is not something I was asking for, and it just feels like too much bloat on top of what should be a straightforward polyomino game. Not gateway level. I do not consider this gateway at all, unless maybe you're playing with the family variant. Even then, I'd be hesitant to call it gateway level. But now it's just sort of adding too much. And this is just me with this box and these, and I think 1 bit of the Kickstarter before. I've actually got some lesson cards that are missing because I didn't get those particular add-ons. So I don't need more bloat in this. But having to sort of get all these components out and set up and think, right, I'm using which action tiles? Right, I'm using these 5. Right, let me just explain to everybody what this one does, and then this one does. Then we flip this one. Right, let me explain this one. Oh, are you not going for treasures? Well, you're not really going to use this action tile much, are you? It's a little swingy, it's a little fiddly, and I just think it's maybe just 1 step too far. I don't think it's bad by any sense. You can still have fun with it, but in my games, I just feel like it's been too much to deal with. Too much on top of everything else for what is meant to be a light game. But what hurts is that this is a lot of components that is effectively going to waste. You want to know why this game costs £20, like this expansion? Mainly probably because of these tokens, because you've got all of these tokens in here, and honestly, I'm not going to use them. I'm probably not going to put events into any games I play. It's not that I will not play the game if someone else does it, but I just think it's a few rules too many. So all of these go in the blue bag and never come out. That's a lot of content that I'm not using. So I'm basically paying £20 for a box, which you are going to dispose of because you do not need these boxes apart from storing old stuff. And I'm literally doing it for these 2. And 1 extra bag of lessons. You get 1 extra lesson pack. So you know how they come in different letters. You get 1 extra pack in here. Great, whatever, more lesson packs is cool. But yeah, these are cool modules. But in summary, what concerns me is that you're paying £40 or so for getting these 2 expansions. The original game is that kind of money, possibly even slightly more, I think, with the big box and all those tiles. It wasn't a cheap game in the first place. £40 is a lot to ask for a couple of fairly small expansions, and value for money is questionable with these. Now, if you are a die-hard fan of Isle of Cats, by all means grab them. If you want the extended, like the different board layouts, I don't think they're essential by any means, but by all means grab it. You'll use them in every game and you'll be happy. With this one, I can't see many people wanting to use the event tiles. Some will, but Honestly, I was just underwhelmed by the event tiles. I mean, I think just a card deck that did those things would have been a lot better than having all these tokens and all these funky things and a royal rat that's only used with one tile. You know, could we have not just had a deck of cards that did it? It would have been a lot easier. But, you know, so that's gone. So really, it's just the Beast module, which is cool. I can take or leave the Beast module, frankly. It's just a cool choice. And probably the main reason you get this is the Kittens. The Kittens is easily the best of the 3 modules. It balances a certain aspect of the game which I think needed balancing, but it's literally just that. It's a small amount of components. So I do like these expansions overall. But because they cost £20 a piece, I struggle to say that you have to go out and get them. I think that you only really need these if you are a diehard fan of Isle of Cats. This is not for the casual, I get this game out every now and again player. I don't recommend it for those people. But if you're a fan, pick and choose which one you like. Personally, the boat pack I think you can skip for the most part. I don't think those boards are going to change things up that much, but if you want it, have it. I would say, if you want to get a bit more content for it, then get Kittens and Beasts, you know, pick that one, use the Kitten and Beast in every single game you do, and make your own decision about the events. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan, but you might think differently. So that's it for me on this episode of the Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then please thumb up the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think about these packs. Have you got them? Do you love them? Do you use them in every game? What do you think about the events? Are you a lover or hater of them? Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, you can check out more content on the Broken Meeple, including the other Beyond the Base Game video I did of Sinister Motives, the Marvel Champions expansion, but you can also check out my recent live stream of the solo top 10 expansions that are non-essential for board games. Take care, and remember as always, it's only a game. Bye for now.